Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and we have an exciting show on tap for this evening. In studio with me, I have two wonderful women, two ladies that I've known for some time now. These women are built on strength, built on courage, not allowing life to defeat them despite the odds and the challenges that have come their way. And they've been kind enough to be on the show today to share a little bit of that journey with you. So I trust that you will be empowered, encouraged, and inspired by the stories that these two ladies are going to share. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Miss Coach Reva Johnson and Miss Lisa Reed. Ladies, welcome to the show. So
Thank
glad to
you.
Thank
have you.
you, Joe. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Thank you for being with me. So, before we dive into to our show, I want to, of course, give each of you an opportunity to just tell the audience a little bit about yourselves. So I'll start with you, Reva. Please share with us a little bit about Reva. What do we need to know about Coach Reva?
Yes, sir. So I am a transformation specialist at Blue Jay Fitness and Health. I have been doing this business for 4 years, but really all of my life, right? I also have been an autism specialist. Before that, I did this for 15 years. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, where I attended the University of New Orleans and Southeastern, where I did my master's program. My journey in fitness and in my business just launched me into entrepreneurship. And I have been fulfilling this mission and purpose since then. I call myself the divorce boss mom. I am a mother of two. I have a high school graduate going off to college, and I have a 10-year-old who is really, really following in my leadership, and I am pouring into her and my community that I've been building.
Awesome, awesome. That is a wonderful intro, and we're excited to learn more because you gave us a good taste of what's to come. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn over to Lisa. Tell us a little bit about what Lisa is all about.
So I just want to say, Reva, I like that divorce mom boss thing. I felt that. But hey, hey guys. So I'm Lisa. I am a mom of five. My oldest just got married in April. My youngest is about to be a junior in high school, so I'm close to being an empty nester. Um, I am a supervisor for a call center. I've been with the company for like almost 9 years now. Um, Not what I went to school for, but you do what you have to do. Outside of being working full time and being a full time mom with activities and everything else, that's pretty much it. I do have a goal to eventually open a storefront, brick and mortar like bakery, dessert shop type of deal. But that's pretty much it. I'm originally from Chicago. I've been in Texas now for about 11 years. Yeah, I moved in 2012. So, yeah, it'll be 11 years in November. So,
All right, all right. And yes, like as you stated, she does have her way of doing the culinary thing. So yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity for you to be able to do your thing in that regard. I know you've blessed a number of people in that area, so that's good. That's good. And you have a wonderful family, of course. I've had a chance to meet all your beautiful children, so that's a great
thank
thing.
you.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with this. So, when we talk about going through our journeys in life, the challenges and things that come with it, you can't really get into understanding the essence of the journey and what all it entails unless you actually take time out to find out where does this all begin. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start from the beginning. So I'm going to start with you, Reva. I'd like for you to tell us. I know you said you were, born in New Orleans. So just kind of tell us what was it like for you growing up. Again, any fond memories that you have, any challenges that you may have faced growing up. Just kind of give us some perspective of what made Reva be Reva. Just kind of talk to us a little bit about that growing up.
Yeah, so growing up, the very, very, very stark memories that I have is on family and loyalty. That's what I was raised and brought up on. So a lot of my upbringing was me having memories with my grandmothers every Christmas, cooking the big meals and dinners and preparing meals with her, going on family vacations. Oh, we lost one. Family vacations every single year. We would, go out and pick a destination and really just be adventurous just with ourselves and being together. So we may not have had much, but it felt like so much because we kept those routines and honored those routines. And we were, all of us were very, very active, from just myself, my aunt, my cousins. So that those are my very, very fondest memories. Now when it comes down to struggles, we were not a very emotional family, right? So we didn't hug, we didn't kiss, we didn't say I love you. So I felt that just that may be a part of me that was missing, but us coming together was the way that we, showed that I love you and I care. My mom was big, big on education. So for her, making sure that we went to school, did well in school, made the grades, had the academia. That was her top pride and joy for us. So all of us, my siblings, my brother, my sister, we all come from a background that just has those family values instilled us, that educational background instilled in us as well. And we are a family of educators, a literal family of educators. So it is no surprise to me that even though I'm teaching in a different capacity than just doing the autism initially, I'm still operating in this gift that I feel is something has been ongoing from family as well as religion. I'm more of a spiritual person these days, but we were very, very much brought up in church, from the Sunday, the Easter Sundays, the vacation Bible schools, the choirs, the oh my goodness, we were at everything, at everything, and we were, our parents, grandparents made sure that we were fully engaged, just in that lifestyle. So that is me growing up in a nutshell. I never had any really, really hard trials, I would say, right? Besides the fact that I probably didn't even know what I was missing because my family sheltered me so much inside, inside within the family, that the outside environment, I didn't really even be as affected by it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a wonderful story that you shared about your upbringing and childhood, and like you said, you speak to something that you know the kids today don't really understand. It's like when you go through struggles and challenges as a kid growing up, because of the close knit family situation. A lot of times you didn't even know you were broke. You didn't know you didn't have. You didn't know you were without because it was just the nature of the family. And it's even surprising when you talked about how you didn't have a family that was very emotional, even despite the closeness of the family. They wasn't all kissy, huggy, that type of thing. But to see that that's clearly in you, and I don't think that that's an accident. Sometimes we might have had one type of experience, but the way we carry out our lives might be totally something else, and you may have had to deal with that growing up to become what you are today, that nurturing, loving spirit. And that was something that I, was able to identify in you from the first time I had an opportunity to meet you. And we haven't even known each other in extremely long time, but just that energy right out the gate, that you were just a very approachable and welcoming type of person. So I can only imagine that that does wonders for you in your business. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes,
Lisa,
sir.
Miss Chicago, of course, I'm from Chicago, born and raised as well. So we have a connection in that regard. So for those who don't know about Chicago life and, or of course, specifically your life, tell us a little bit about what was it like for Lisa growing up in Chicago?
So, of course, I grew up in Chicago at a time where it's actually safe to, go
Mm-hmm.
outside and ride your bike off the, street and just be home before the street lights. But I grew up in a two-parent household, and we were considered middle class. My dad used to work at a steel mill. My mom was a teacher. And so I'm the baby of the family. I have two older sisters. I'm the baby. And so I got treated as such growing up because there's a 5 year difference between me and my sister. Um, so I grew up really not wanting for anything. I used to get teased. My friends and people who met me would call us like the Cosbys because both my mom's side and my dad's side, we would all like come together for like holidays, like both sides of the family. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthday parties, whatever. So I grew up being able to be close with both sides of the family, and they grew to be close to each other. So that was basically, the way I grew up. I was in theater in high school, which I absolutely loved doing. I was the kid out of all of my grandmother's grandkids. I was the one that always went left. So when my sister, my cousins would do one thing and they would go right, and my family was like, "Oh, well, since they did such and such, are you going to do the same thing?" And it was always no, because I don't want to be like them. I want to be different. So I would always be the kid that would always go left and always wanted to like chart my own path and do my own thing and not follow up behind anybody and be my own person. Eventually, in adult life, it came back to bite me in the butt a little bit. If I had just listened to what my parents had told me. But of course, when you're a kid and you're growing up, you think that, oh, mom and dad, you don't understand. But that's basically, the way I grew up. I always had friends. I wasn't very sociable, but I was very likable. Like if I met people, we would be friends. I didn't treat anybody differently. But I wasn't always the first one to just be like, hey, how are you? My name is
Mm-hmm.
Lisa. It just kind of people would gravitate to me and conversations would start and we would just be cool. But I was never like unpopular, but I was never really popular either, if that makes sense. So I'm always
Absolutely.
like in the middle. I'm the neutral friend. Like if we click, we click. If we don't, it's okay. Nothing lost. So that
Wow.
is
Wow.
me in a nutshell.
Okay. Okay. Well, that is an interesting take. Like I said, being from Chicago like yourself, it's always interesting to hear different people's perspectives and what their lifestyle was like. I think the one thing that I connected with you, of course, aside from the traditional stuff of, it was much safer back then, as you
Hmm.
stated, to be out and about in Chicago. I mean, I don't even know what's happened to the city to this day. I mean, it's just night and day comparison to what we could do as kids. But
Hmm.
the one thing that stands out to me that you said that personally resonates with me is the fact that you talked about being that in between kid in terms of very likable, sort of down the middle in terms of your interactions with people. So that's how I would define myself. Growing up like in school, like I was never cool enough to be popular, but I
Hmm.
wasn't nerdy enough to be a nerd. So you were like right
Right.
down that
Exactly.
middle,
Yes.
and
Yes.
being in that middle is good in a sense because you have a balance from both sides, but then it's also can
Hmm.
sometimes be restrictive because you kind of feel like you don't fit in on on
Yeah.
one end of the spectrum or not. So
Exactly.
and it
Hmm.
can make you a little socially awkward. It can make you a little bit kind of hesitant to converse with people until they engage you, and then if they engage
Yep.
you and there's a connection, then we can talk. But if you're not connected
Hmm.
with me, then I'm just sitting back. We're not
Right.
gonna go there. So yeah, I totally relate to that
Hmm.
that perspective. So awesome, awesome. Okay, so ladies, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper here. Again, in this journey of life that we're on, and all of the challenges and things that go along with it, we know you live long enough, you're gonna hit those bumps in the roads. It's one of those things that it's not a matter of if but when. But there are certain challenges in life that just hit different. And when I say hit different, sometimes you get hit with something that it feels like a ton of bricks just landed on top of you, and it's like, okay, I done been through a lot. I've been able to overcome a lot, but this, I'm not sure how I'm going to make it through that. So, what I want to throw out to you to share, to whatever degree you choose to do so, and whatever story you choose to share, I'm interested in knowing, as you reflect back on what I just said, tell me about a time in life where you felt like you were facing a level of adversity that was way bigger than what you could handle, and you really weren't sure if you were going to be able to make it through that, but you were able to make it through, and it's evident you were able to make it through because you're even here to tell it. So I'm interested in knowing what that journey was like. Kind of walk us through it, and what did you have to do to ultimately break through and overcome that challenging time. So I'll start with you, Reva. Tell us about what that time was like for you.
Okay, so I feel what comes to mind is about three instances. So I was a teenage mother, like I was pregnant at 17 right before I, graduated high school. So that in itself was an experience for me. It was a very, very much so a challenge for me going through school and finding my support. But I believe the biggest obstacle that I probably had to overcome was definitely my divorce. That was a big, huge situation for me because this is the man that I married, right? This is the man that I married. I vowed to, and I am a person that has a good level of control on things, right? So that was a very triggering experience for me. I'm the lady who wants the husband married at this age with the two kids, the dogs, the education, the career. Everything is going perfect. And I think that situation completely uprooted my level of control and me understanding that I don't have control. This life is uncertain. So that brought me to a place where I probably felt my lowest and probably brought me to my lowest and my highest at the same time because in those times on my social media accounts, like I was really, really working out heavy to just manage my stress and everything that I was going through at that period of time. And my body was changing and transforming in front of my audience, so they would see me like tip of the iceberg on the end, but they had no idea of what I was actually experiencing and going through that was actually fueling me to have such a transformation that they watch just from the outside. um Within those times, like I found out that my then husband, like he cheated on me, had two outside children. All right, not one, but those two. So in that moment, like that's when I found my resilience, right? In that moment, it kind of was me kind of spiraling down, not really understanding my self-worth, my self value as well. My relationship with my children, it was not as open, vulnerable as it could be because I was in a period where I was this angry woman all the time and lashing out very in ways that today, like I have to look back and really apologize for those behaviors as I have kind of evolved out of that situation. And so that was the situation I believe that kind of brought me to a space where I just kind of stopped fighting and stopped wanting control and just had to surrender and say, okay, I'm not in control, and start to have to go back and return to God, who I lost faith in. So understand that I feel like this was a part of my journey. So I definitely lost my faith because, like I said, I'm a person that's always in control. So all of these situations were happening in my life to where I was raised up in church, like I said. So it's kind of like, God, are you here? Because I'm going through so many trials that I can't believe a person with this much faith, with this much show up, with this much giving, could possibly be in a place like this. So I let go of my faith for a while and lost faith. And this situation really is basically what brought me back because I had hit a low where I was doing things that I didn't recognize myself. I had lost a sense of me in that, just in that separation and that divorce. So like that was the biggest downfall for me, and it may have taken me about, I'm gonna say, a year or so just to be on that healing journey and find myself again from that.
Wow, wow. And
Yes.
let me first start off by saying I appreciate your transparency in that regard because I know that. Um, and Lisa, go ahead and mute your mic, Lisa. Um, I know that going through a challenging time like that, for people who've never been through a divorce, it's not the traditional "I break up with you, I quit you." It has a different type of sting to it, and so for you to be able to persevere in the midst of such circumstances, and you talked about how you normally have been accustomed to being in control of things. And it's interesting, because God, He doesn't allow things like this to happen in our lives because He's trying to hurt us or anything like that. But there are moments when sometimes He has to kind of humble us. He has to let us remind us that we don't have to carry all the weight and we don't have to control things. It's not our space to do that. And so sometimes he allows us to go through certain experiences, again, not to harm or to or send us into a state of depression or anything like that. It's really, the objective is really to bring us closer to him, to us to lean on him and to say, look, I got you. I made you. I know your ins and outs and everything in between. I'm here for you. Let me be God all by myself. I got this. I don't need you to run the show. I just need you to follow my lead and let me, with you together, show you how I can be a blessing in your life and how you can be a blessing to other people. So, I'm not going to say that I'm glad that you had to go through a divorce and everything that went along with it, but I'm glad that you were able to survive it and make that connection once again to reestablish that faith in God, to know that He is in control, and look what He's doing in your life to prove that. Um, that you're bigger and that you're better than this, and that there is a positive light, a bright light at that end of that tunnel, for you to look forward to. That now you have a new vibrancy of life and a new excitement that perhaps at that time, when you compare it to now, you weren't feeling that. Like you said, you were in that dark space. So again, thank you for your transparency in sharing that. I want to turn it over to Lisa. Same question. That time in your life that, man, this hit different. This, I'm not sure how I'm going to navigate through this thing, but I'm here in this moment. What am I going to do? Share what that journey was, and what you needed to do to have that breakthrough moment.
So I can relate, Reva, to you when you talk about the divorce. So, 2009, um, matter of fact, it's the year I turned 30. I had started culinary school that year in February. Um, by that August, my sister passed away from breast cancer. She was 35. She was my, biggest fan, my biggest support, and it was sudden. Like they didn't catch the cancer in the time that they should have, so it got aggressive real quick. So I lost my best friend in August, and then that November I got divorced, and then that December, right before Christmas, my grandmother passed away. So 2009 was that year that I was just like, okay, God, like I'm angry, like I am mad, I am upset. I I don't want to do this no more. Like, you let my family go through all of this stuff. You let me go through all of this stuff. I'm like, I have 5 children at this point, and I'm divorced. And what am I going to do? To move in with my parents for a while, until I can get myself established. It's just like, God, why would you allow all this to happen? Why would you do this to me? Why would you take my sister from me? Why would you let this happen? And the divorce thing was hard as well because, like I said, I grew up in a 2-parent household, and so my dream and my thoughts was always to have my kids grow up in a 2-parent household as well. And in my family, nobody got divorced, so I was like the first person in my family to get divorced. So, I dealt with all of that. I dealt with the fear of, how am I going to do this on my own? With the fear of my sister's not in my corner no more. I don't have her here to take advice from. She's no longer with me. She left 2 kids behind. Um, and so the good thing about that is my niece was like 3 months old when she passed away. So I knew that one reason that I had to pull it together and keep it together was, one, for the sake of my kids, and then two, for the sake of my niece, because she was still a baby. And so I look at it now because I always said I never wanted my kids to see marriage as two people angry, always arguing with each other, not getting along. That's not how it was designed to be. So I would rather see me single and happy living my life, not knowing that, you know, taking care of 5 children was going to be a struggle for a period of time, and an adjustment. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I really had to eventually, just pray and really seek God during that time, because for months I was in I guess it was depression. I didn't see it as such. Everybody else saw it as such. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to interact with anybody. I took care of the kids as well as I knew how. Some days I was just like, y'all do whatever. I don't care. I don't feel like it. I'm tapped out. I mentally checked out from life for a while when all of this stuff happened. You never, nobody can ever tell you how long the grieving process is or how long to mourn. So the grieving process was still going when I was going through the divorce, and then the process of grieving plus the divorce and then my grandmother a month later, it was too much. I almost didn't even go back to school because I was so hurt and I was so distraught. But I had a dream. I went to sleep and my sister came to me in a dream and was like, I don't know what your problem is, and I don't know why you're feeling sorry for yourself. This is not who you are. This is not what I've showed you. You better wake up tomorrow morning and you go to class and you do what you need to do. You take care of your kids and you do what you need to do. You need to continue to be the strong person that I know you are. Because for even though I'm the baby of the family, I was always the strongest one. Like I can keep everybody else together, and so I would have my moments when no one was around. But when people were around, I kept strong for everybody else to make sure everybody else was good. And so when I had that dream, and went through that, it was a wake up call. It was like, okay, you know what? You are right. Lisa, get up from here, do what you need to do, get your life together, and let's move on. And so even now, I'm still going through that, same process. When trials and tests come up, I'm, better about how I react now. But that was like the biggest pivotal point in my life where all that trauma happened, and I was, like I said, I was at a point of, God, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know why this is happening, but I'm still standing and I'm still here. So yeah.
Wow. And again, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being transparent. As I said to Reva, I know that that's not that's not an easy story to tell, to go back to that, to reopen that wound. But again, I'm glad that you persevered. I'm glad that you didn't allow yourself to be defeated by, um, a marriage that didn't, pan out, that you didn't feel defeated by, unanticipated deaths in the family. All of these type of things can really tear a person apart. But um, it's great to know that you stood tall, and I don't even take lightly about you saying about the dream. I take, I take that very serious. I do believe that loved ones who were, particularly that were extremely close to us, can visit us in those type of ways to kind of remind us or put something on our heart, something that reminds us of who they were, that lets us know, hey, pull it together. Like you said, not so much about you putting a time limit on how long to grieve,
Hmm.
but more so saying, you don't have to stay in this space. And I tell people all the time, you're still human, and God recognizes that. It's okay for you to go through the emotional part of it, for you to cry, for you to be angry. I even like the fact that you pointed out about being angry with God, because sometimes I think people, even believers, can sometimes think that it's a problem to be angry with God. I know when my mother died, I was angry, and
Hmm.
I was angry with God, like He had done something to me, and because of the God He is, and because He loves us like He does, He understood that I was hurting, But when I had a chance to get that out and catch my breath and pause, it was then that he was able to, begin to reveal to me why things had to play out the way that they have. And as time has gone on, just as it has with both of your lives, it becomes a revelation to you why you had to go through, what was the significance behind it. Because in the moment, all you're dealing with is your fleshly emotions. You're like, hey, this don't
Mhm.
feel good. This ain't right. I don't deserve this. This is unfair. And so I'm thankful that the two of you were able to survive your respective storms, and again are on that progressive path of doing awesome and wonderful things. So with that said, as we transition further into our podcast here, I'm interested in knowing, when you think about the challenges that you both have shared and just adversity in general, um, what would you say is sort of your go-to, whether it's one or two things in particular that when you find yourself in a situation, in a jam, in a fix, this is what you tend to lean into. This is what you tend to do that helps you process, okay, I'm here. This is what I need to do to get through this thing. So I'll start with you, Reva. What is that for you? What do you lean into or rely upon to get you through those challenging moments when they come up now in life? What's worked for you?
So I think of me being bigger than myself and bigger than my circumstances and situations. So I always go back to my anchor, and I always anchor myself in God and I anchor myself in my purpose. So for me, I understand that the emotions and experiences that I may be going through in those times are short lived compared to the greater obstacles that I do have that will be before me. So I kind of look at those challenges as very small and tiny. So when I came out here to Dallas, I came here homeless. I didn't even mention that as being a part of my struggle. But I came to Dallas homeless, understanding that this is where God, my source, has been leading me to get to this next level of expansion for myself. And I really had to sit with myself and learn how to listen. So that's a big thing for me. Like I said, I was the person that always wanted to be in control. I prayed to God and had my requests, but I never learned how to actually listen. So, in my quest of going from believing to seeking, and actually going on a soul search and finding God for myself, it was in those moments where I actually learned how to listen and to receive the signs, the people, the signals, the cues, so that I could know that He's here. He's still here for me. The promises that, I've been made are still relevant or still active today. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. I moved out here to Dallas to Highland Park. The name of my business is Blue Jay Fitness. Every single day when I first got my first apartment here, every single day for an entire month straight, I saw a blue jay on every
Mm,
single walk that I took in this neighborhood, specifically at the park. And it came at such a uplifting time. Even it even came up when I asked about people who I should be working with and the things that I've been doing. And so Blue Jay Fitness has been coined 4 years ago when I first went through my traumatic divorce and had to supplement my income. And Blue Jay Fitness came to me because that's been my spirit guide for so long. So it's almost like this is such a just synchronization coming up for me. So I am always anchored in a purpose that's greater than me. So all of these little things like divorce is a little thing now, right? Things
mhm.
like divorce, even homelessness, even a teenage pregnancy is all small things compared to where I know God is leading me. So I have to be able to be resilient and go through those things so that I can get to the promises that I have already seen. Just like she said with that vision, at that time when I got my vision was in those dark places. So now I am totally locked in on board and on cue, and I don't believe anything can stop me at this point
Wow.
besides death.
Okay.
And it's still not going to stop then.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. I love the connection to the Blue Jays, and I've even shared that kind of story before with people, and saying, I do believe that God can talk to you, or angels can speak to you in symbolic ways through nature, like birds or things like. And it's like you don't know until you know, until you've experienced that. Only
Mhm.
then, because so there's some people like think you crazy when you talk about it. How this bird? You no, I'm telling you, I don't think that that's crazy. I totally feel that because I've been there with that, and it's just
Mhm.
like of all the thousands and thousands of birds that you've seen in your life, and sometimes you can just walk past a tree, 100 birds sitting in it, and there's just this one that just sticks out, whether it's the color, whether it looks like that they're staring directly at you, and you instantly know that there's something to it. And we're just talking about birds, but it could be other signs and symbols that God knows how to relate to you, so you'll know it's Him talking to you. It's you know that it's Him relating to you, and that's not an accident. That's not a mistake. And also, I love the fact that you said, my little teenage pregnancy, my little divorce, because that shows the signs of your spiritual growth. Because now you recognize and you use the word seeking. You now understand that those things are little to you now because you understand how big your God is. And so that's what makes those things little, because of how big He is. It's nothing to Him. That's a drop in the bucket. I got that. You keep doing what I've created you to do. I'll handle all of that stuff. I'll get you through all of that. So that's awesome that you shared that. Lisa, same thing. You going through challenging times?
So
What are you
yeah.
leaning in on? What are you doing to get you through?
So I walked through the process of my spiritual maturity. So when I first moved out here, of course, I moved into a 2 bedroom, little to no furniture, 5 kids. All right, great, we'll make it work. And we did struggle over time with different things, but for me, it used to be when stuff started happening, it was worry, panic, try to figure it out, and then pray. Okay, that was the order. Even though I knew better, I grew up in church, I knew better. But at that time, that's just where I was. So now, going through things and going through challenges, one, for whatever reason, when the Lord takes me through something, it's like one thing and then it's another and then it's another. And I'm learning just to be like, okay, Lord, don't know the reason, but I'm going to trust you. And so now I'm at a point where, I will pray and I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't know. Let me take a step back. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to trust you, that you had all of this in place and that you're going to make a way. You're going to allow me and help me to figure this out. It's going to make me better. It is a story for somebody. It is an example for somebody. So I'm going to trust you. I'm going to pray about this thing. I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to be, practical as well. But I'm going to lean on you for direction and for guidance to get through this. So that's where I am now. And I had a conversation with my mom a few days ago because I had a lot going on. And she even told me, she was like, I'm so proud of the growth that you have. When challenges and when things are coming up, because at one point I would just sit in the middle of the floor and just cry and not do anything and just,
Mm,
sit and cry about it until I got tired and, like almost like a little kid, like almost like, I was like a spoiled brat, like throwing a tantrum because things weren't going my way. And it's like, God, why are you letting this happen? I was kind of like a spoiled spiritual brat, as I like to use that example. And so like I said, now I'm learning to just be like, Lord, I trust you. You got this. You brought me through this. You can bring me through this. I've dealt with worse in the past. So this is, and like Reva said, this stuff right now, this is nothing compared to what I've gone through already. And for me, I also try to look at the um, the little things within that. So like my car, I was supposed to drive to Houston last weekend, and well, this past week, and so my car went down on Friday. But I was driving it, and my car just happened to start acting up right in front of an auto repair shop.
mm,
So, I turned into the auto repair shop and had them look at it and they told me what was wrong. And it would be in the shop for a few days. So it's like, well, I have to drive to Houston. What am I going to do? Well, now I have to rent a car. So now I have to come out of more money. And I was looking at it that aspect. And it wasn't until that night I prayed and I was like, well, Lord, thank you because you could have, I could have been on the highway when my car started. And it was an issue with my engine. I could have been on the highway on my way to Houston when this happened, but he didn't allow that. He loved me enough to allow me to for the car to start acting up right in front of the repair shop. Like you can't make that up. You know what I'm saying? You can't make that up. And so I look at those type of things. Well, let me find the blessing in this. It could have been different. We could have been stranded somewhere on 75 or 45, but we weren't. With the car acting up, we could have gotten into an accident, but we didn't because the Lord allowed us to stay safe by allowing my car to act up before I hit the road.
Mm.
So I learned now to look at and be grateful for those things. To some people, it may not seem like a lot, but to me it is because I think about the what could have been. Like Kirk Franklin's song, "It could have been me," and I think about things like that now. Let me find the blessing in it. There's a blessing in this trial somewhere. Let me find it. Let me look for that, and I use that to focus to help get through everything else.
Awesome, awesome, and I love that perspective. That's definitely a clear sign of spiritual growth when you can go through something, have that initial emotion, but then say, okay, I know that there's more to this. That this is not just a bad situation. Let me find the blessing in it. Let Lord reveal to me why you did what you did. And sometimes he does, and then sometimes he may not. You just have to trust that
Mm-hmm.
he might have just saved you from an accident. He might have just
Yes.
saved you from, like you said, being stalled in the middle of the. We've been on those highway trips where it's saying next exit or next gas station 50 miles, something crazy like
Mm-hmm.
that, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. You just never know. And it was funny. I was listening to you tell that story, and I immediately thought about a time when this was many years ago. I made a trip to go to my school's homecoming for college, and I had to get some brake work done on my car before making the trip. I was so anxious to get down there, got the brake work done, made the trip because I'm still living in Chicago at the time, so it's a good 5 hour ride. I go there, I have my good time and everything. It's now time to come home, and I'm driving, and it's getting late at night. And I'm hearing this noise, vroom, 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 vroom. And what it was that one of the tires, and it's had to have happened back in Chicago when my tire was put back on. They didn't tighten all the lugs on it, and so my wheel was coming loose. So I had drove all the way there, heading back, and then all of a sudden I'm driving. I'm hearing this noise, trying to figure out where it's coming from, and my left rear tire just bounces off the car, and I'm seeing it bounce on the highway, and I'm sliding off to the side of the road. It's pitch black out on this. I'm in Wisconsin. It's pitch black on this dark highway, and so here I'm like, first I'm catching my breath, like, oh my god, I didn't. What just happened? And then all of a sudden, this vehicle pulls up. I guess because they saw what happened, and they of course make sure that I'm okay. I didn't have I pretty much only had enough money to get home, and it's late. And this couple, it was a gentleman. He came up to me and he said, he said there's a place right up over there, a little hotel or whatever. He gave me $50. He said, you go ahead
Wow.
and get you a hotel and get you something to eat, and I'm sure you can go ahead and get your car taken care of the next day or whatever. But just stuff like that, for me to have driven that far on a wheel that wasn't fully tight, and then for it to
Mm-hmm.
happen in that middle of nowhere, and then this just random driver pulls over, and then I didn't ask him for anything. He just, here's some money, get you a place to stay, get you something to eat, take care of it in the morning. God bless, and keep moving. And it was like, but again, I tell that story because, again, you just never know. But what you do know is if you're in a relationship with God, if you understand who He is and what He represents, you know that He just has a way of covering and protecting you um, when like nobody else can. And and
Yes.
and your story is a perfect example of that. I'm sure you were frustrated because you're trying to get out of town. You had plans and all of that, but God makes no mistakes. He makes no mistakes, and so that's
Yeah.
awesome for you to share that. Um, another thing I would like to ask the both of you: if you had an opportunity thinking about everything that you've been through life and the point that you are in today, Reva, if you had a chance to talk to, the 17-year-old teen mom, and Lisa, if you had the opportunity to talk to that young Lisa version, and what you were going through and divorce and all that kind of stuff, I'm interested in to know what words would you impart to the younger you. So I'll start off with you, Reva. What would you tell little Reva? What would you share with her that you think would be of help to her, that she would be blessed by if she only knew this what you know now?
I would say learn who you are at a real soul and identity level. Understand that the things that you fear are not your own fears. They are fears that have been projected onto you by your caregivers and those closest to you in your environment. I would say learn to be conscious of the things that energize you, that you can move in that direction so that you can always have a sense of happiness and fulfillment and joy in your life. I would also say that the circumstances that you go are going through are smaller than the promise that God is calling you to. I would also say to keep pushing, like keep pushing and understand that you are on a journey that is going to feel uncomfortable because it is uncertain of your path on how to get to your greater. So just hold on to the vision that you have been given and keep walking the path and understand that the cooperative people, opportunities, and places will always arise somewhere, somehow in there, if you just keep on your journey. Um, that's about it. All I have for now off my head.
Well, that was a mouthful right there. I think little
Yes,
Reva would
it
be all
was.
right after that powerful message. I think little Reva gonna be okay. Same thing for you, Lisa. You talking to 30-year-old Lisa, divorcee, 5 kids, trying to figure where am I gonna do now? What would you tell her?
So the first thing I would say is to continue to push through, and don't let what other people say and think about you define you. You know, people are going to talk. People are going to have opinions about your life. But just because they have an opinion doesn't mean you have to listen to it. Just because they're talking about you doesn't mean that it's true. Stop looking at, oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing that based off of what I've been told, based off of what society says, based off of other people whose lives I'm mirroring after. Live your own life. Don't mirror after nobody else. Your life is unique. Your walk is different. Your story is different. Nobody else is the same as you. You're not the same as anybody else. You have a timeline like everybody else. Your timeline is not going to look like everybody else's. Your things on your timeline are not going to be in order like other people that you've seen. You know, it's not going to, that's just not your story. Um, so what if it took you to get your degree at 33? You still got it. Doesn't matter how old you are, you still went back to school and you got your degree. So keep in mind that you don't need to be on anybody else's timeline but God's. Your steps are ordered in a particular way for a particular reason. And don't let anybody challenge that or anybody deter you from that.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. I love that, and I love specifically about the time frame. Because we do get caught up in that. Like, by this age I got to do this. By this age I got to do this. By this age I got to
Oh,
do this.
yeah.
And then of
Hmm.
course as the years go by and you start getting older, and the couple of gray hairs start to pluck in and all that,
Yeah.
and you start comparing yourself to what other people are doing. That's not
Hmm.
that's not your story. You got your lane, they have their lane. And
Hmm.
again, we all know that God's timing is different than our timing. So it's never too late for God. And you don't know. He may have, I'm not going to even say may, he specifically destined for you to reach these certain plateaus in life at the age that you met them at. Because had you done it sooner, or had it gone a little bit later than what he had planned, it wouldn't have all played out the way that it needed to go. So his
Yeah.
timing is perfect, and I believe that for both of your lives. And none of this was an accident. It's all building and shaping and molding you into the powerful women that you are have become and are still. You are just scratching the surface, and that's important for the both of you to remember. And as you said, Lisa, keep pushing forward, keep being persevere through it all. Just stand on your own, on your own footing, and not allow other people to dictate what that looks like. um, God has created you to be you, uniquely you, all by yourself. Nobody does it better than you. There is no another you like you, and that's
Yeah.
important to embrace and remember. So with that said, before we finish up our podcast episode, we got to take an opportunity to celebrate. We got to have to take an opportunity to affirm and love on you, ladies. So I'm gonna start with you, Reva, Coach Reva. Tell us what's going on in your life. Any projects? Any exciting news? Upcoming events? Anything that we need to know about that we can celebrate and put out there into the internet world and let them know they need to be checking out Coach Reva. What's going on with you?
Yes, yes. So, like I said, I am a transformation specialist, and I have been on this big mission to help women have a journey to freedom, a freedom of the mind, a freedom of the body. I am a certified personal trainer, nutritionist, and wellness practitioner. So I am looking to bring my message across as many people as I can in Dallas, which is there's this misguided approach to fitness that the industry is not addressing because we are focusing on all of the tactics such as these diets and fads and these exercises that and equipment that do not help women evolve into the greater version of themselves. So it's really has been unsustainable. So what I've been trying to put out is a deeper soul identity level where we take the science, which my degrees are in science. So we actually take the science of psychology, biology, neuroscience, and we take that science and we use that for insight. And when I say insight, that means we have to go deep within ourselves to identify who we are, our triggers, our storylines, patterns, and behaviors so that we can adapt what we know from science and then what we know of ourselves to begin to arrange a real holistic way of evolution and transformation. So I intend to do some retreats. One retreat I have to do back home. Got to do it. That's where this all started. I am a just a self-proclaimed herbalist, and I have during that year of COVID I've made many herbal blends, teas, and regimens. So hundreds of people just have gravitated to me because they know me from home. So I want to do a wellness retreat there. I also want to bring that out to Dallas where I share more of my knowledge of the body and my knowledge of actual fitness and training and really put this unique framework together so that we can learn how to really elevate our level of consciousness and live well and don't just focus on just the tactics but actually focusing on ourselves at an identity level and a soul level so that our transformation can be sustainable and adaptable and we get out of this rat race of losing 20 pounds, gaining them back, and it has, it seems that it has us as leaders feeling very, very defeated when we go to do a journey, especially a transformation journey, because we've tried everything. But what I'm saying is there is a unique framework that is a God-given framework that has been developing inside of me that is a emotional, mental, and physical component because when you break it down, it all has to work together. And the mind is the strongest of such. So when it comes down to diet and nutrition knowledge, I teach people to eat for their brain power so they can develop more insight and have more focus and clarity and not just do a diet because it just does not work. So I'm very excited to just bring this out to Dallas. I imagine myself being on a stage. I don't know if that's in front of a church. I don't know if that's at Clyde Warren Park, but I know that I am going to lead a choreographed. I love to dance, right? So I know that I'm going to lead a choreographed style hit workout somewhere on somebody's platform real soon. I am putting it out there for anybody who catches this to connect with me and also to come into my energy. I am at www.bluejfitness.com and Coach Reva on my LinkedIn profiles.
Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff you got going on there. So, ladies, if you're tuning in, you need to check out Coach Reva. She's got the complete package deal for you, and you can clearly see the energy in her, and just like you said, that whole complete uh, approach. I'm not just here to gimmick you into something. I'm here to transform you into being all that you can be from the healthy perspective. And I love that approach. So thank you for that, Lisa. Miss Culinary, Miss doing big things. What we got going on with you? What?
Well, so first, Reva, I will be reaching out to you about some of those herbal supplements, girl. Um,
Love it.
but well, I started a dessert business a couple of years ago. It's called Lisa Marie's Berries and Treats. So basically, I do dessert bars, chocolate covered strawberries, uh, let's see, cupcakes, cupcake towers, just an array of desserts. So I've been continuing that. But what I plan to do, because my degree is actually in culinary management, so going to school, I learned more of everything on the savory food side of it, not so much the desserts and pastries. But my plan is to enroll and go back to school to get my baking and pastry degree. Because my ultimate goal is to learn to do wedding cakes and specialty cakes, and eventually open a small, a brick and mortar where I just sell desserts and, you know, mini cakes and, have a bakery on site. And, you can come in and you can have coffee, you can grab you a quick donut, a quick cupcake, order strawberries, whatever. That is my ultimate goal over the next few years. So if you want, you can go on Facebook. It's Lisa Marie's Berries and Treats. That is my business page. And the other thing I'm excited about, I have 2 years left, and then I will be an official empty nester. The last one will have graduated from high school, and it's nothing but up because I am, still single, and I'm living my at the point of now my kids are older. I'm going to start living my best life, like celebrate me, do things for me, take time out for me. So those are my celebrations, what I'm looking forward to.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I'm celebrating the fact that you're going back to school and getting those degrees and certifications, and you got that dream and that vision. You haven't let it fade away. That's beautiful stuff. And I think you deserve, after raising 5 kids, especially for a significant part of time by yourself. Yeah, I think you're deserving of a trip or two and some other spoils and things of that nature. So
Yes,
applause to you, Reva, for the wonderful works that you all are doing. I'm excited to see what God has in store for you and what the world is going to be, you know, shaken up by when you all are coming through the doors and doing your thing. So that is just awesome stuff. And of course, of course, with myself, this is what the whole Spirit of the Blessings in the Street podcast is all about. It's an extension of my book, Blessings in the Streets. It's about empowerment. It's about encouraging. It's about understanding that if you want your relationships to strive and thrive, God has to be connected into it. And you ladies clearly got that message. I hope those who have an opportunity to listen to the podcast have that message. If you're interested in finding out more about my book or as well as any other services, speaking engagements, things of that nature that you'll be interested in connecting with me on, you can visit my website at josephbroberts.com. If you'd like to purchase the book, you can go to blessingsinthestreets.com to go directly to get the book as well as the bundle package that I have with it. So a lot of awesome stuff. We got a lot of gifts on this podcast panel today. So don't you all don't sleep on us because we coming. We coming. So with that said,
yes,
ladies, again, I thank you for being on the show. I have had an enjoyable time with the two of you. It has been a pleasure. It has been a treat. And I've just loved this time together on a Friday evening. It's a wonderful thing, but I'm going to turn your evening back over to you. So before we do that, for those of you who are listening, if you have an opportunity, if you liked what I should say, if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share. Um, so that way others can be blessed by what they've listened to today. We're trying to spread the word, trying to spread the message, and um, people who come on the show like Reva, like Lisa, they're laying their hearts out on the line. They're putting it all on the table, not sugarcoating it, giving it to you straight up, without a chaser. So take it for what it is, apply it to your life, and be blessed by it. So with that said, here at Blessings in the Street podcast, this is the place where your journey is your joy, where your relationships are relevant, and where there's joy in your journey. So until next time, I'm your host, Joseph B. Roberts. Take care, be blessed, and I'll see you then.